Hello, everybody. How are you? Welcome to this episode of Games Up podcast. I'm Cameron.
Amazing.
That's Lewis.
Hello.
I know it was so smooth and polished as per usual. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing very well.
Good. What you been playing?
I think you know. Spider-Man.
Man Spider.
All day, every day.
Good.
Yeah, really good. Really good. I am so excited to play more of it, to be honest, and I haven't got to play enough of it yet, so...
All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, this is the latest episode of Games Up Podcast. You know how we do it every week. We start with a thing I should have asked you about before we recorded the show. Do we have an indie game?
No.
Nope. We start with the news, and some weeks we don't. So the first piece of news this week is the person who puts all the microtransactions in games says that it's unfortunate that microtransactions are in games. 2K this week released a statement saying that microtransactions are an unfortunate reality of gaming now and blaming consumers for being too lazy to work their way to the top. I feel like you've written this with a very clear stint in mind, Lewis.
Potentially. No, I mean, this was just the first thought when I saw it is like, you have the CEO of 2K in this case saying that microtransactions are like an unfortunate thing that games have now because consumers, they want to pay way to the top, they want to, maybe they don't have the patience to do the grind. And you're like, you're the people that are making these things. Do you know that? Like, it's due to you that the games are this way. Like, you intentionally make games grindy, and
You were supposed to be the chosen one.
I don't even know. It's like I saw it and I was just kind of baffled, because I was like, you must realize that, like, it's if you can't say it's an unfortunate thing and then be the person that's like involved in putting them there.
So I gotta say, I don't entirely disagree with him. I think, like, I don't entirely disagree that microtransactions are an unfortunate reality, because I think money is an unfortunate reality. But I think the way they phrased it is really, really bad. Like, it's so weird to aim a lens at your audience and be like, "Hey, you're paying like more money because you're bad and stuff." Like, that's such a weird way to sell anything, let alone a media product. Like, I spent my day in IKEA today. And if they were like, "Hey, we're gonna make our furniture more expensive because you're not putting it together properly, so we need to make it more quality, like or of better material," I could kind of understand that, like something that has real world hardware implications or something like that. I kind of get, but selling them a media product for entertainment and being like, "You're the shit, so this costs more," it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I really don't.
So from that light-hearted one, we'll move on to a very odd, mysterious one. A brand new games company called Tokyo, 2 as in 2 T00, 2 TOO.
200.
Shut up.
Yeah, TOO.
TOOKYO. Games will host a live stream on September 11th at 7 JST, where their creator will appear, and details about the company's establishment, goals, and current project will be revealed. Now, you've put that it seems likely this is going to be Yokotaro, due to the kind of concurrence with the release date of Drakengard, and it's probably going to be a subsidiary of Square Enix. Is this a good thing?
Yeah, I think so, because I think, for a long time, Yoko has been, if it is Yoko, has been kind of fighting for funding, as it were. They've released games, but it's always been on tight budgets, and it's always been kind of doing more than maybe would be expected with the money, I guess. So it'd be nice to see him in charge of his own studio, if that is what this is.
Okay, I see what you mean there, and I agree. Seeing Yoko Taro sort of given the key to the creative city, as it were, would be good. But I really don't like this whole "we're going to reveal what our company is" thing. Like, Kojima got away with it because of who Kojima is, and even that I'm very iffy about. But this seems so silly. This seems like such a wank fest to explain. Like, imagine starting a new company and being like, "Okay, well let's tease who we are, what our goals are, our establishment, before we even talk about the project we're doing, before we talk about the game we're going to sell. Let's tease our consumers with like what our 5-year plan is. Fuck off. Just tell me what the game is.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I can see where you're coming from. I think a lot of this kind of makes me think it is Yoko Taro just because of the idea of revealing a creator,
Yeah.
but also just kind of the subversion, because that's kind of like always been his thing, to be weird and subversive when it comes to any kind of trailer or game or anything he's done. Has always been like that. So I can picture it being, if you remember, he always appears whenever he appears in trailers, he wears like a big head mask thing.
Yeah, the big moon kind of looking.
Yeah. It's called Emil. I just imagine we'll see it on a live stream and it'll just be like him with that, like shouting or something. I don't know, because that's kind of his style.
It's weird. I can't think of any other kind of... Like, I can think of a few people who would do this kind of crap, but I can't think of somebody that's, expected to release a game or work on a game soon that would do it. Like, somebody like Suda51 or it's...
Swery.
Yeah, or Swery. I can't remember the numbers after his name, but Swery.
65.
That's him, Swery65. They're the kind of people that would do this. Kojima is absolutely the kind of person that would do this, but he did this a year ago, so we're past that point. And then the other one I can think of that's like so unlikely it's unbelievable, but I can imagine they try this kind of wanky crap is Phil Fish.
Oof. That seems unlikely, but okay.
Yeah, you see why I'm hesitant to even finish the sentence. But like actually I'd be kind of excited if he was coming back just because of that whole situation. But yeah, I don't know. I'm very excited to see what the game is. I'm very excited to see who has got their own studio. I would be much more excited. I've never thought I would say this, but I would be 10 times more excited if this was just a press release.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe not the game. Like I suppose if they show a trailer for the game and some cool art, then okay, I can kind of understand it. But like if they explained the studio establishment goals bit in a press release and then actually teased something about a video game.
Yeah,
that
okay.
would be cool.
I get that.
Number 3 on the news this week, THQ Nordic have acquired Kingdoms of Amalur, the IP, and Kingdoms of the Kingdoms of Amalur brand. So Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning was an expensive flop, which sadly brought its studio, or the studio that made it, 38 Studios, to bankruptcy. But it was absolutely critically loved. It was a real critical darling, even though it was a total flop at the box office, I suppose, although box office isn't what you get in film. In games, even. So, this is really cool. THQ Nordic have done a really, really good job over the last few years of picking up IPs that didn't quite sell as well as they had to, but deserve a bit more kind of care and support. And it's cool to see this one being the next in the chain of the things they're going to look after.
Yeah, for sure. I think they have a lot on the pipelines. They've got a lot on the go in THQ Nordic, and at the moment, they've made a big deal about buying lots of different IPs and lots of different brands. And as of yet, they haven't quite been able to release too much, in terms of like from those kind of classic brands and different things. But I'm so excited to see like when all of this kind of comes to fruition. Whether it's, I mean, even in this case, whether it's like a remaster, I'd be happy to see it,
Yeah, I think you can probably pretty safely bet on a remaster for this one, and then some kind of follow-up after that. It seems like, I don't know, it seems like a big step to buy the IP that had one big game as a kind of critical darling. Not that the others weren't, or not that like the IP as a whole wasn't, but like, I don't know, I could see them kind of cementing their place with it. With an HD remake, if that makes sense, and then pushing out a new game in some time.
I think it's just more and more evidence that THQ Nordic is, really trying to be like a big player here. I think that's the goal.
And I think good for them. They seem really clearly to be doing what THQ failed to do, in that they seem to be really talking to the hardcore gaming space and saying, look, we might not have these games for you tomorrow, but we do know they're here, and we do care about them, and that's very important. The The only thing is, though, that there's a small part of me, the risk averse part of me, which is most of my brain, is saying like, is it a good thing that we haven't really seen any games from them at this point, but they're spending so much money on IPs? Like, we saw THQ die because they spent so much money on a single IP, and it cost them the sales of all their other games. I'm slightly concerned that we seem to see more buying than selling from THQ Nordic.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I think maybe it's possible they've got kind of more ideas, like in the pipeline than what they've got on the plate, if you like. It's like,
yeah,
it's stuff that they're planning in the future, and it's whether they get there is the question. I think a lot of it.
They do.
Yeah, no, me too, definitely. I think a lot of it will hinge on how well, like Darksiders 3 does, and they're also Biomutant, aren't they? So depending how well those two games do, I think will have a big effect on it.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I think maybe that they're just buying, and it's like, oh, in 5 years' time we'll make the next Time Splitters game and the next, Kingdoms of Amalur game and all this, and it's in the hope that I guess they make enough money to actually get there. So we'll see. I think we'll see.
Number 4, this week, the Xbox Adaptive Controller released. And we wanted to talk about this briefly because it's just like a really cool thing. There's not a lot that we can say, both because we are fully able-bodied or able-bodied enough to play games. I have what classes as a minor disability, but it wouldn't have any kind of impact for this. It's a really, really cool thing, and if you want to know more about it, they did a sponsored ad recently with a disabled gaming personality who used to be a member of Rooster Teeth, and he talks about how he hasn't done sponsored ads before, but he chose to actively do his first one for this controller because of how well made it's been and what it's going to do for accessibility in video games. It's just a really cool thing that this piece of technology now exists. I hope we get to use it at EGX. Whether Xbox haven't announced anything for there, so I hope that Special Effect will be there again and we get to maybe see it through them. But this is a cool thing and the kind of thing that deserves more shouting and more championing and support. So well done.
Yeah, for sure.
The next piece of news is that the WildStar developer Carbine Studios has unfortunately gone bust. The studio will have its members lose their jobs, and sadly the MMORPG WildStar will be shutting down. Me and you both own this one.
Yes.
we won a copy at an IGN pub quiz years and years ago. And yeah, it's a cool game. It's a shame that this is happening to it.
Yeah, it really is. Like, it's one that I really enjoyed, and didn't. I think it's always sad when an MMO goes down because it is hundreds of hours of playing. It's loads of money, loads of commitments, and also like friendships and all sorts of things get made through MMOs. So I never like to see it happen. I still kind of hold one MMO dear that went bust a long time ago now.
City of Heroes?
Yeah, that's the one. And I don't know, it's always sad. Yeah, I know that these things I always kind of hope that they can just be left to run, if you like, but I know it's not a possible thing all the time.
Yeah, of course. And I think it's a really interesting little moment when an MMO goes down, because like servers go down for games quite often, and you'll see the servers for games that you like quite famously the Halo 2 servers, the original ones anyway, went down a couple of years ago and people stayed on the server till the very last minute, which was really nice. But those games are like a little moment in time that, released and then people played them and they kept playing them. But MMOs are kind of like, they have to be this evolving service. Even if content doesn't keep coming out, the way that people play them and interact with them and talk about them will change, as any kind of communication does. So it's this weird little thing to watch this like evolving moment of time fizzle out. It's ironically like a dying star. And there is something quite sad about it. Also, hugely sad that so many talented members of a development team will be losing their positions, and we hope that every one of them finds their feet in whichever industry they choose, be it gaming or any other.
Yeah, very well put.
Number 6, and this one is kind of exciting and also kind of concerning. Rocksteady are hiring a community manager for an upcoming, highly anticipated AAA game. They've also got listings on their site at the minute for a lead scriptwriter and a QA tester, although the lead scriptwriter was posted in January, so it's kind of an ongoing thing. I like that they put highly anticipated, as though anyone is looking at Rocksteady's site and being like, who the fuck are these guys? But man, when do we see this?
Yeah, I think it's hard to say. I think like the lead scriptwriter can't be for. It has to be for something else, you know. Like they've been in development now for a while, so I have to imagine the community manager's for one thing, and the scriptwriter would be for something else.
I mean, writing tends to take place towards the end of the development cycle, not like right at the end, you know. But it's not. It's not like creating a film where the writing is the first thing that happens. It's a lot further along in the process. So it might be for the same thing. Although I do get what you're saying, and I think it's a fairly good bet that Rocksteady is two teams at this point, purely because I think that's how they were before they got Arkham, and you know, they're now going off into very much uncharted territory of what the next thing is. So it would make sense for them to do that split again.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't think that it'll be too long before we see whatever's happening. Because we said we expected it at E3 and this year, and I'm still in shock that there wasn't anything there. So I have to imagine we're getting something soon from them. Just because I hope, I guess.
Yeah, I'm with you. My brain says we don't see it till next year at the earliest.
Okay.
My heart says we see it at the Game Awards.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I could see them do something there. Jeff Keighley has always had quite a good relationship with Rocksteady and Warner Brothers specifically, so I could see something happening there. But I don't know.
Yeah, and the Game Awards is definitely coming up in terms of things being announced there from last year.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
So there is potential that things have been held back for it, or held for it.
See, I don't know that it would be held back, because I don't know that like.
I don't mean like that.
Well, what do you?
I meant like held from E3.
I don't think it would be held from E3. I don't think if you're revealing at the Game Awards, you're necessarily ready to reveal at E3.
Okay.
Like 6 months is quite a long time. I don't know that. I'm trying to think of a big reveal from the Game Awards that could have been otherwise. Like the biggest I can think is Telltale Batman from those years ago. And that definitely wouldn't have been an E3 reveal. I can't think of any of the big ones from last year. I know they were there. I just can't think of them. But yeah, I don't know that if you're not revealing... I don't know that anybody's like, yeah, we can wait nearly 7 months to do a reveal. I think it's probably just that they're ready to reveal later in the year.
Right, yeah. Yeah, okay. So is it Batman or is it Superman? Both of which are anticipated.
I mean, but the problem... You're right, though, but the problem is that anything from Rocksteady is anticipated. Like...
Yeah.
Rocksteady could make the tie-in game for the Emoji Movie at this point, and I'd still be kind of like, yeah, let's go. So... I really don't know. The fact that they say highly anticipated makes me think it probably is a known quantity. Like, they know it's a AAA game. They know that it's, you know, that people are looking for it, and they do, because they respond to the press and the fans every time, even if it's just to say, you know, not yet. But they know how much expectation there is on this. I don't think they'd put that in the title specifically unless... You know, they're trying to say, we're looking for somebody with the caliber to deal with something that can have, you know, that will have eyes on it.
Yeah.
But I don't know what those eyes are. Like, I could very much see it being a DC thing. I could see it being a Green Lantern game. I could see it being a Superman game, a Justice League game, or whatever. I would shit my pants in happiness if it's a fourth Arkham game. But I doubt that's going to be what it is, but I would be very, very happy if it was. But then I could also see them playing with some of the other Warner Brothers licenses. Like I could maybe see them do something cool with Ghostbusters, or I could maybe see them do something cool with Harry Potter. Especially as they've done a real big push for Harry Potter games this year, so there might be something in that. I don't know. Warner Brothers has a big wealth of licenses. I don't think it's going to be an original thing yet, because I don't know that smacks of highly anticipated. I think it's probably a known IP. It's just do they shift out of the DC playground yet? And I think they might do.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I'd be excited to see something different from them, though.
Yeah, I agree. So the reason that I thought that it might show off at the Game Awards is because the Game Awards is a big gaming show that happens in the later half of the year. Another big gaming show that happens in the later half of the year is our favourite big gaming show, and that's EGX, the Eurogamer.
Eurogamer.
I was doing really well on that link. The Eurogamer Expo. Thank you. And it happens in just 2 weeks' time. We have our tickets all prepared. We have our map of the show floor scoped out. So we don't have that yet. I don't think they've released it. But we have the show floor scoped out. We know what we're going to be looking for. So let's talk about what we're going to be keeping our eyes peeled to when we hit the show floor of EGX. Lewis, what are you going to play?
So I'm going to flip the script, as it were, to use the language of the kids.
Okay. Yeah, I can't tell you how often I hear them say that.
Sorry, I've read it. But I tell you what, my favourite part of EGX tends to be actually is they have a section usually dedicated to indie games. And around there you'll find not only amazing indie games, but then usually they have things like a collection of very weird indie games, right? They usually tend to like some of them are VR, some of them are just computer games, and some of them are you flick this like dingle thing and it plays a game.
So you're talking about the Left Field collection specifically?
Yes, the Left Field collection. And I love just playing very weird, very inventive games. And I always love kind of going through EGX and playing games. I've got to be honest, with a lot of them I might not buy. They're not necessarily great games, but they're very fun to kind of play with, And I love being able to go and just play kind of loads of different indie games, but also loads of different, just very creative indie games.
Mm. The thing I like about the Left Field collection is not all of those games are made to buy. Like there was one a couple of years ago which was the knife game, but it was literally the knife game. Like they had programmed on a servo and a Raspberry Pi the knife game, as in stabbing your fingers, and turned it into effectively a video game. And like there's no way they're selling that game. That was made to show off to people at EGX, and it's a really like niche little thing to make a kind of a video game to never sell it to anyone.
Yeah. I just love the inventiveness and kind of the, wanting to just show off what you can do and different ideas. I think it's great, but it's also, like, just to transition a bit, it's also how things like Portal happened. Is from people making these kind of crazy inventive indie games and being seen. So I like it.
Yeah. To go off that, I'm really looking forward to the indie section. I love every year meeting the indie devs. They are some of the most interesting, weird, like exciting people you'll meet. Because the other booths are great, and the games that they show off are undeniably great. And sometimes you talk to members of the teams, or you see people walking around. But the indie booths are literally, for most of the time, they are the people who made this game desperately trying to show you why this game is cool. And so you meet some of the most just passionate people about video games in the world. It's great. I'm going to deliberately try and bump into the wonderful people behind Thea. Again, we've interviewed them 3 or 4 times at this point, and they are super exciting, super interesting people who studied Norse mythology and now put it into video games. They're great fun. So yeah, the indie section is always a blast. How about AAA? What are you looking for from those?
So on the AAA, there's quite a lot there to look forward to. Actually, it's quite a
Mm.
busy show from what I can see. And one of the ones that I'm kind of looking forward to, but I'm not sure if I'll actually play it, is simply the next Assassin's Creed game.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
And my reasons for not necessarily playing it is that I have it on pre-order, and I'm wondering whether it's so soon that it's not worth doing. But then part of me is like, play it. You've got to play it. Decide if it's, hype me up for it. I
You
don't
know
know.
what? I'm with you because when we played Origins at EGX last year, it was still quite a way away. EGX was more, I think. I mean, it was around the same time. In fact, it might have even been the same week. But there was a bit more time until the next Assassins came out. I think we probably could miss it this year and not have it be too much to the detriment. I also don't know that Assassin's Creed demos very well. When I played Origins last year, I hated it. And I was quite fond of Origins. I think, especially with this one, it seems like the game is very much a long thing. Like, you can't play 30 minutes and get the most out of it, because it's so RPG-ish. It's going to be about how that character works and who you make them into. And I almost wonder whether, half an hour of running them about in Greece is going to do more harm than good.
Yeah. I mean, like, I know that when I played Origins, it's kind of like, all you really take away from that kind of presentation, that kind of demo, is like, oh, this is how the game feels. This is how the mechanics work.
Mm.
But you can't really get like more of a feel from it. And and you're right, it doesn't necessarily demo well because you don't get that kind of, maybe the exploration you want, or maybe when it comes to this, I'm just kind of I'm so hyped for the game, but I think I'll go and look at it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'll necessarily go and like sit down.
Something that I know I will 100% be playing, although I fucking dread the queues, is Smash Brothers.
Oh yes, the queues are going to be great.
They are going to be awful for that, but I am so excited that Smash Brothers is there. I've never said this about a Smash game before. They are all fun, they all look really cool and interesting, but just the way that they've handled Smash so far and been like, hey, yeah, you wanted Smash. This is the biggest, best, most impressive Smash game we've ever made. I really feel like they're hitting the nail on the head of how to sell this game, and I'm so excited to get my hands on it. I'm really, really looking forward to that. I'm surprised, very surprised, that Dreams is on the show floor.
Yeah, definitely. Dreams is one that does surprise me that it's there, because they've been saying for one thing, Dreams has been kind of like anticipated forever. But another thing for it is that they've been saying for a long time that you can do a lot with it in a very short period of time.
Mm.
And I wonder whether they're going to kind of show that off in some way, or whether it's going to be like, playing like a set level, or if it is going to be like, look, you can play around.
Yeah, so I actually know a little more about Dreams than I have let on, and I think I can probably say something at this point, but I will anyway. Last year in February, I attended a VFX industry thing, a big VFX festival in London, and Media Molecule did a Dreams presentation, and they showed some of the tech behind Dreams and how it works, and they actually sort of live demoed it, and it looks fucking incredible. Like, the technology they've built is it's just really impressive. The software that's gone into it. It works so much more fluidly than I thought it would. I can genuinely see it doing what it's supposed to and giving people the chance to make things much like they did with Little Big Planet. I really, really hope that the game they make with it is a good enough reason to get people in it, because I can see that they've done a very good job of developing a set of software, almost game development software, but I fear how that will sell to consumers.
Yeah, I know what you mean with that. And I think, I don't know, because I'd like Little Big Planet did well. The first one did well, at least. And I think if they can kind of capture that idea, then that's great. It's all about how easy it is and how many people kind of get behind it, and how many interesting. I think that's the thing. If you can get a player base that's able to make enough interesting content, then it works.
Yeah.
Something like Trials is a game that worked that way. It's got a lot of interesting content, and because it does, it survives.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
sure.
hopefully it's like that.
One thing that I am a little disappointed in about the EGX show floor, and I will put the huge caveat that we are recording this on Sunday night, 2 weeks before EGX happens. This may not be the case by the time we reach the show floor. It may have totally changed. They may even announce the change on Monday. But so far, there's no Xbox presence at all.
Oh, really?
No. There is no Xbox presence. Microsoft are not bringing anything to the show, at least as far as right now. They may announce on Monday that loads of stuff's coming, but I'm very, very concerned with that being the case. For two reasons. One, because Forza Horizon this year is England. It's going to be such an easy sell to give people, look, you've come from this part of England to play this game. Here's your hometown. Look, you've travelled from Scotland for EGX. Here's Edinburgh. That seems like such a big misstep to not have the game in the place that it's set. At the biggest opportunity to show it off in the UK, that really feels like a miss. But also, Crackdown is 5 months away. If genuinely, if it doesn't get played here, where is it going to get played? EGX is a consumer-only show, so it's not really there for press. You're not playing builds of the game that nobody else has seen. It's not exclusive in any way. But it is the last big show that I can think of that shows games in a playable state. There's no more PAXs, there's no more Paris Games Week, TGS, E3, this, that, the other. EGX is kind of the end of the cycle, and there isn't another start of the cycle until March next year. Where the fuck is Crackdown?
Yeah, Crackdown's. I don't think you're going to see it. But you're right, and I hope that maybe we will hear something, because it is very strange if we don't, and I think it's
so concerning. Imagine if PlayStation were releasing Spider-Man in February and it weren't there.
Yeah.
That would be such a red flag, and Microsoft have been like, "No, guys, it's coming out," and we're like, "But where?"
Yeah,
there's some other stuff I'd like to see there as well. I would have really liked to see the I can't remember its name, but it was a really cool chibi Zelda game. It was a chibi fox with a Zelda gameplay style. I can't remember the name. That's terrible, but I really like the look of that game, and that's console only for them. So I'd have loved to play that. The skateboarding game, I think it's Grind.
Yeah.
No, that was Tony Hawk's. Well, the skateboarding game that they announced this year that's launching exclusively, much like PUBG did the year before, that would have been a great thing to have on the show floor. People have been wanting to play that for a long time. Forza Horizon, as I say, really should be there. And then this would have been a good way to push some of the stuff that they haven't done as well with publicly anyway, PR-wise. Having a bit of a relaunch of Sea of Thieves for the UK would have been a great thing, because Rare are very, very local to Birmingham. That would have been a great thing to do. Having... Oh, what's the other one? Oh...
I'm going to catch up with this. Okay, just quickly. Zelda game is Tunic.
That's it, thank you.
Skating game is called Session.
Session, thank you.
What's the other one you've got?
No, the other one is the other game that Microsoft released. Cuphead and the DLC for Cuphead being there would have been really nice. That would have actually made a pretty good showing for Xbox. And instead, and unless they announce anything the week before, which seems a bit late, I don't know. I'm really disappointed that they've not shown anything yet.
Do you know what it was like last year?
For Xbox?
As in, in terms of when they kind of announced stuff.
I think they announced stuff a little earlier than they are this year. I feel like we knew a lot of the games by this point already.
Yeah.
So
it looks like last year it might have been announced a month ago.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I think it might be a cool way to get people to, because the tickets don't usually entirely sell out. There's usually like some left at the last minute. So I think it might be a way of getting the people who are like last minute spur of the moment purchases to be like this week they announced like Kingdom Hearts 3 on Friday. That's huge. That's really big, and that's going to have got a lot of people to have gone, yep, I'll go to that game. Yes, I'll travel to Birmingham for that. I kind of wonder whether they're doing the same thing. And so that gives me a little speck of hope that Crackdown might be there, because like that would be the biggest announcement, I think, of the show, because it would be the first time it would be publicly playable. That could sell a lot of tickets, but also it's definitely not there.
Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from there. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Let's just hope.
All right, last one for the night. Give me a couple of games that you are going to seek out to play
Okay.
at EGX.
So, another one that I'm not sure about playing, but I definitely want to see it, is Life is Strange 2. That's apparently
Yes.
there. And I want to see kind of like how interested I am in it. But I also think it's another one of these games that I just don't think you can get from like playing it. Like I don't know how you would demo Life is Strange 1. So like I can't see myself like being too wanting to play it.
I don't know. I could see them treating it like some of the indies do and having like isolated demo stations, headphones, making like a slower demo for it. I can see that working.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what they do. Maybe I will play it, but I'll definitely be looking for it at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
And then Metro Exodus, the new Metro game.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in seeing how that's looking. What else? Soul Calibur and Kingdom Hearts. Actually, now that you mentioned it, Kingdom Hearts is definitely something that I think we'll be lining up for.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you have to, I guess. If it actually exists and it's coming out and it's playable, like yeah, I'll play that.
Yeah.
And also, I guess the only thing I would say with Kingdom Hearts is that they've had like the same footage now for a while that's been kind of circulating around.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that it'll probably be that we'll be playing, which kind of annoys me in a way. I've seen it many times at this stage. But yeah. There's so much to look forward to, and I really look forward to it.
There is. For me, I'm going to be seeking out Mario Party. I think they look surprisingly fun, and I think one on the Switch is a good thing. I will absolutely be seeking out Spyro. If you think I'm setting foot on that show floor and not playing the hell out of that beautiful purple dragon, you are absolutely mistaken. I'm also quite interested to play Beat Saber. I've seen a lot of it. It's one of those games that went quite viral. And I'd like to give it a go in a way that's like not committing to buying the game or spending a lot of time with it, seeing kind of how gimmicky the gameplay is, because that looks like quite a cool game if it works. And yeah, I'm gonna give Marvel Spider-Man a go, because I am really, really impressed with the footage I've seen so far. I think it's done a lot better than I thought it would if you've listened to the show so far. Yeah, I think EGX this year looks very, very, very good.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to going.
So, are you going to EGX, dear listener? You should, because it's genuinely one of the best shows that happens all year, especially in the UK. We don't get shows here in the UK, so support it if you can, because you'll have a great time. It's great fun. And if you don't like lines and stuff, go meet the indie devs. They're awesome. If you are going to EGX, tell us below this here video or this here podcast if you're on iTunes. And I don't know, maybe we'll bump into you. Maybe you can tell us what games you played. Maybe we can all have a lovely chat under the video about what we got to do. Fuck that up right at the end. Either way, thank you very much for listening to this here podcast. It's been a pleasure making it for you. If you like the show, feel free to like it or subscribe to it so that we get out in front of a few more people. That would be much appreciated. And also, so that you don't miss anything we post. We post this show at 6:30 every night on Mondays, every Monday night even. We publish this show at 6:30 every Monday night, and much earlier that day on iTunes, so you can catch it on your way to work or lunchtime or whenever you listen to podcasts. Thanks very much. You can find us at Games Upcast on all the socials, and until next week, the game is in fact Up.